what strategy you should use to guarantee 80% or more of your trades win, how do you know exactly where to buy and sell, and what do you do if you're literally starting from scratch? We're going to be answering your questions in today's video, so let's get started. Hey everyone, Israel Kim here from vintageeducation.com. If you like what we're talking about on today's video, make sure you subscribe to the channel below the video and hit the bell notification so you can get instant notifications every single time we produce a new video. So those are just some of the topics we're going to cover in today's video. If you have a question that you would like us to answer in a future Q&A video, make sure you leave your question below in the comment section, letting me know exactly what you want me to answer. So let's get into it. So Dom says, what basics do you suggest learning to be able to place your own trades? Candlesticks, price action, news reactions, etc. So that's a good question. So initially when I was learning to trade, I came into the market, and although I was messing around, as I've alluded to in previous videos in regards to like demo trading for 3 days and stuff like that, I'll make sure I link to the videos in the description box where I talk about that further. But the point is, I learned about price action and candlesticks, and I kind of categorize them together. Candlesticks is kind of price action as well, but I also learned about the fundamentals and news as well. So when I was learning, and even still to today, you are going to have a lot of people that will kind of really divide these two. I remember a couple of years ago I was out with one of my brothers, and he introduced me to this trader, and we got into having a conversation because we were basically all spending the day together. And one of the big things that came from the conversation was he was more so fundamental into trading news and getting into the news, and I was coming more so from the approach of, yeah, I look at charts and I look at price action and candlesticks, but I was also saying I don't disagree, I don't ignore, I don't just rubbish the fundamentals. And I was basically highlighting to this guy that, look, I think it's good to have a balance. It doesn't have to be 50-50, but you have to have both in regards to being better at forex trading. Full disclosure, I don't think this person trades anymore. I believe at the time they was talking about how they're trying to manage money and all these kind of things, but he was adamant, he was vehement that it's fundamental. Forget about technicals, it's just fundamentals. Now, obviously that isn't my experience, so I'm not going to necessarily outlay that to you. I did heavily learn about candlesticks, and that's what you're going to find if you go down a more broader technical aspect. A lot of people are going to talk about technical charts and looking at charts on a day-to-day basis. Now, the fact of the matter is, if you go over any of my videos where I'm breaking down trading in a lot more detail, I basically talk about both all the time. I talk about using your economic calendar and all those kind of things. I talk about looking at charts and preparing yourself. The fact of the matter is, it only makes sense to use all of the data. So don't make the mistake of thinking that, oh, I'm just going to look at the technicals, or I'm just going to look at the fundamentals. Some people are going to say the technicals are driven by the fundamentals. Some are going to say the fundamentals are driven by the technicals. It's hard to ignore, and I don't believe in coincidence. I've said this so many times over the years. When you look at the charts and you look at some of the things that were happening in real current life events at the time, there's correlation. But also at the time, why is it happening at this particular time when these fundamental things are happening? There's a huge correlation. And I'll say it again just to stress the emphasis. I don't believe in coincidence. When you look at these two things, you can see that there's some sort of heavy linkage between the two. So I wouldn't advise you ignore one or you ignore the other. Focus on both. Obviously, you're going to gravitate towards one more than the other. But again, focus on both. So focus on candlesticks and understanding chart patterns and sequences and all those different kind of things. That will definitely help you in regards to your analysis. But then at the same time, focus on news. Be aware of big news that's coming, but don't necessarily get carried away with it to the extreme where you're just like consuming it every single day and allowing those things to just 100% dictate your decision making and your trading. Rochelle says, I need help. I literally don't know where to start. All right, Rochelle, this is a great question because so many traders actually experience what you're experiencing right now, and this is what you need to do. You see, the fundamental fact is, if you need help, if you feel like you need help and you don't know where to start, first thing you need to do, this is a mistake that so many traders make. I made this mistake. You may have made this mistake. It happens to pretty much every single trader at a different point in time, but it generally happens to a lot of us at the beginning of our trading career. Why? Because those are the times when we're getting into it and we don't understand necessarily if this is something we want to do. So the point is this: when I first started trading, what got me into trading, I've kind of alluded to it already in today's Q&A video. One of the things that enticed me was that it was recession proof. Now, why did it entice me that it was recession proof? It enticed me that it was recession proof because I knew people, maybe not necessarily like my immediate family, but I had close proximity to people that were affected one way or another. I knew people whose parents lost their jobs. I knew other people who lost their jobs, and I knew people that lost money and all these different kind of things. So the fact of the matter is, it was encouraging for me to enter into the forex market. Why? Because I felt it provided security. Another thing that was really enticing about forex for me was the fact that I was able to work the hours that I wanted to work and not have to be off somewhere at some remote location every single day, 9 to 5, waking up early, getting back late. Why was that such a big impact for me? Because growing up, that was what I grew accustomed to in regards to my dad. The only difference was he had his own business, but the fact of the matter is he still had to go out every single day. So imagine that a lot of the time it may be me and older brothers and all that kind of stuff, basically looking after each other and stuff like that. And yes, when my dad was there, he was great and all that kind of stuff. He raised us in a great way. But the point is, you have to think about it from the other perspective. If you're always leaving your children, their mind can wander and think those are different things. Certain times I'd be asking myself, why isn't dad here? These are all things that people are dealing with. As I'm growing up, as I'm getting older, I'm promising vow to myself saying, look, you know what? I'm not going to allow my children to experience that. I want to make sure I'm doing something. I'm able to make enough money. Also, I've got enough free time in order to be around my children and spend time with them, so they can never say, oh, daddy wasn't there, or never think to themselves, oh, why is dad always working? Daddy doesn't love me. All these different kind of things that a young child's mind can wander into all these different places. My mum and dad basically separated, since we're on the topic of parents and upbringing, when I was about 6 months old. So that's another thing from very young, realizing, and as a child not understanding it. Did my parents break up because of me? Those are things that I had to potentially wrestle with, that maybe my older brothers didn't necessarily have to wrestle with, because it wasn't in the very first year that they were born that their parents actually separated. So I'm vowing to myself going forward, I want to make sure that my marriage is secure. I don't want to put my marriage on the line. My daughter, my 2 sons are growing up thinking to themselves, oh, it was because of them that my mum and dad didn't stay together, and all these different kind of things. The fact of the matter is, these are real life questions and real life wonderings that children's minds go on, and I don't want to be the burden on my child's mind, or the cause of my child to start thinking certain things that aren't necessarily true. And sometimes it's not necessarily what we say, it's what we do which is actually more vital. And when you look into why most relationships break up, the number one reason is financial. So what did that tell me growing up, and what does that still tell me today? That tells me that, look, I want to do my best to make sure that my finances are in check, because if my finances are in check, then that's one of the main reasons why most relationships break up. So if you've been following along with me over the last couple of minutes, what I've been doing is not just telling you, but showing you exactly where you need to start. If you still feel like you need help, let me spell this out for you. The fact of the matter is, this is where you start. You start with a true valuable reason. Why are you doing this? I just gave you 3 reasons, okay? Not the only reasons, but just 3 basic reasons. I've talked about other reasons why I've got into Forex before. I've talked about recently in videos, someone who paid me over $1,000 for my $1,000 an hour one-on-one coaching. I'll link to that in the description box below, where I go into more detail about this stuff, and you can watch it and learn exactly how to do this. So Yatunde's got 4 questions, and the first question she says is, how do you enter a trade? Now, this is more of the basics of the practical side of actually entering trade. So how do you enter a trade? Well, what you're going to find is, generally with your broker, you're going to have the currency that you want to trade, and you're going to have generally a box that says buy or sell, and the numbers are going to be flashing up and down, and all you literally have to do is click buy, and if you want to sell, all you have to do is literally click sell. It's just that simple. When you click buy, you can have your broker in some situations have a confirmation, and if that's the case, it will say, are you sure you want to enter this trade? Most people that are a bit more dedicated and a lot more serious now about trading will probably likely take that off, because when it gets into stuff like slippage, and I don't want to confuse you and all that kind of stuff. But if you've done a video about slippage a few years ago, I'll make sure I link that in the description box below. But if not, slippage is basically just when you hit the buy button and it takes a little bit of time to get into the market. So you want to make sure you're always getting into the market as quickly as possible once you're fully convinced about hitting the buy button or the sell button. She also says, when do you take a long position or a short position? Kind of similar in regards to what I just talked about in regards to our first question, in regards to buying and selling. You're going to buy when you believe the market's going up. You're going to sell when you believe the market's going down, hopefully, okay? Hopefully. I know there may be some crazy people out there that may think the market's going up and then sell, and may think the market's going down and actually buy, okay? But logically, if you think the market's going to go a certain way, it would make more sense in your interest to basically go along with what you're doing, because you don't want to do something contrary to what you believe, and obviously live with the guilt and the damage for psychology in the long run. It's not worth it. What does the big squares in the chart represent? Does it mean different days? Third question she asks. I don't know specifically what you're talking about, so I'm going to go for 2 examples what I believe it could be. The first example is, I like to put big squares on my charts a lot of the time when I'm dealing with risk and reward, and a lot of the time I symbolize that with a red and a green. So if it's like a stop loss, for example, it will be in a red square, a big red square, and that's just me highlighting the vertical distance of my stop loss from my entry line. Another thing I do in regards to the green is my reward window, and that's literally from my entry to my take profit, where I actually got out of the market or where I'm actually targeting. So if you see in a lot of the videos I've posted over years in regards to results, what those typically symbolize are stop loss area, take profit area, and I always do that so I can visually see my risk to reward is on point. Now, if you're not talking about that, then generally, yes, another thing I like to do is I like to have what I call day separators, and what that literally has is a little dashed line going down the screen, and that literally just shows you this is the end of the trading day, so to speak. So normally at 12 o'clock or 11 p.m. based on your broker and how they actually do it, you'll have a line at the end of the day. So those big squares, if that's what you're referring to, are different days of trading activity. And I like doing that for a number of reasons. But one reason I like doing that is because It allows you to see what happened in that particular trading day, what happened yesterday, and what may potentially happen in the future as well. She also says, how do we use the icons on the top and left hand side of the chart? What icon is used for what? So before we get into the whole how you win 80% of the time in today's video, this is a really good way to kind of preface and set ourselves up to build the foundation. So make sure you pay attention to what we're going to say now. I don't want you to get too carried away with all of those things on the top of the charts. The way I trade, and I've kind of alluded to already in regards to my stop losses and my take profits and my risk to reward and all those kind of things, I try not to do too much in regards to just annotations. The thing I'll tell you to get really comfortable with is probably using the crosshair, which you can just hover over your chart at different places and it'll tell you the price at different places and all that kind of stuff. Really basic tool, and it will show you what time, where this candle went from and where it closed and all that kind of stuff. It'll give you loads of information, okay, but it's a very basic tool. The other thing I like to focus on is just a basic line. So if I can draw a line on the chart from one place to the next place, or from top to bottom or side to side, anything like that, that's the only thing I like to focus on. I wouldn't go much further than that. I don't advise you go much further than that, especially if you're new and you're just a complete beginner. Don't do more than that. Now we're getting to some of the big juicy questions. Cyprian asked 2 questions. He says, what signals do you use to enter the market with certainty? So this is very simple. We've kind of touched on this already in earlier questions with some of the basic questions that people are asking about how to buy, how to sell, when to buy, when to sell, all that kind of stuff. Fundamental fact is, the signals I use to enter the market with certainty is when the market is at the area on chart that I feel this is where I want to buy from, I'll buy. Just to keep this completely simple. When the market's at the area on chart where I believe I want to sell from, I sell. Just that simple. Now we get into the most enticing question, which is, what strategies do you employ that guarantee a more than 80% win rate? Now I didn't even really think about this too much, but the fact of the matter is, so many of the questions that I've answered today, that have been asked of me to answer in today's video, a lot of them are very similar in a sense. It's people coming from a standpoint of they don't understand something or they need help in regards to something, which makes sense because you're asking me questions, right? But a lot of them are coming from a standpoint of thinking the market is a certain way. When I got into the market, one thing I realized early on, just based on like some of the understanding I had in regards to numbers and all these different kind of things, is winning 80% of the time really doesn't matter. And the quicker you understand this, the better and the easier it will be for you to make money in the long term. How does that make sense, Israel? It makes sense like this. I used to see this all the time. I'd see these people that send you to their website and say, look, be this long page and say, look, I'm going to show you how to win 95% of your trades or 80% of your trade, and all these different kind of things that sound nice. But the thing they don't tell you, or that goes over your head because you're a novice, and to a certain degree it's not your fault, but in another aspect it is your fault, because you have to be understanding. You have to listen to people like me when we're talking about certain things like what we're talking about, what I'm going to share with you next. The fact of the matter is, whenever I talk about results, whenever I talk about profits, whenever I talk about returns, you can literally sit down and work it out and understand, okay, you know what, this logically makes sense. Okay, I literally break everything down for you. It's kind of like what I did in regards to the video where I showed you how to make 4,000 a month, $4,000, 4,000 pounds, 4,000 euros, whatever currency it is you're trading. I'll make sure I link it in the description box below for you to watch it after this video. But the point is, what I don't do, which is what a lot of people do in regards to stuff like making 80% of your winning trades guaranteed and all that kind of stuff, is they won't tell you what kind of trades they are. A lot of the time, making 80% of your winning trades winners doesn't even matter. And that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be profitable. Why? Because you could have 8 trades out of 10 that make you 10 pips, and that'll be 80 pips. But you could have those 2 losing trades that both lose you 50 pips. So you would have made 80 pips, but you would have lost 100 pips. And just for simple maths, that means you would have been overall losing 20 pips. Now, if all pips are created equal, if you're risking the same money on all of those trades, then you just literally lost money. But I can go around and say, you know what, I'm going to show you how to make 80% winning trades. I hope you see the point I'm trying to make. A lot of the time, this happens to me, but I just wasn't necessarily caught up in it too much because I can understand sort of the numbers to a certain degree. And this is why numbers are always important. When someone's making a claim, whatever it is, I'm going to show you how to be 80% profitable, all these different kind of things. Still to this day, and I've said it to students over the years, 35% to 40% is a great winning percentage on the trades I take. There are weeks when I'm 100% accurate. There are weeks when I'm 8% accurate, but I don't try and shoot for 80%. I try and shoot for 35-40% accuracy on the kind of trades I take. Why? Because the trades I take, when you have minimal risk, when you're risking small amounts of your trading account, but you're aiming for really good amounts of profit in return, within reason, not crazy return, but within reason to what I'm risking, it puts you in a position where you don't have to trade that good. And this is more so what I talk about in the video of how to make $4,000 a month. And if you want to know exactly how to do that, exactly how you can not even trade that good, especially as a beginner, watch this video right here. It's a great video about how to make 4,000 a month trading the Forex market, and exactly how to do it even if you're not that good at trading as well. Thanks and take care, and I'll see you on the next video.